So in the interest of never getting anything done, I have rebuilt my gun system. I've set this one up to do all of my development on, but I'm just going to put a gun together, and I'll just fast forward all the parts in between where I'm not actually able to explain anything. But I hope that this is probably a robust enough system with kind of dynamic modules, I suppose you would call them. Like if I click on the revolver, you've got the objects that it can spawn, and you've also got different actions, so left click actions list top to bottom when you left click while you've got this gun equipped. So I'm working with a bunch of Cinti assets. This pistol's from the cowboy thing, I think, but I'm gonna let's do like a laser gun kind of thing. And let's make it like a machine gun. Okay, so I've created a machine gun with my lit cell shading so it suits the environment, all of the environment that I've built here. And I've applied the item control script, so the root position and root rotation. Root rotation is Z forward, root position is 000, which is based on this little cool little bubble right here, and what that bubble is kind of the starting position for the pistol essentially, or for the gun that you're creating. So you can offset them by changing these vector 3s. So now I've got a gun that when I press the interact button on, the E key, it jumps to that root position. So as you can see, it just kind of is floating around in front of you. It's got like a bit of a default like motion to it that's built into the player controller, not into the gun itself. But obviously, like, you wouldn't be holding a gun like this. You need hands to hold it. So let me set up a couple more pieces here. I drag a right hand grip and a left hand grip into the gun. It's just a case now of changing where they are located to make sure that the hands line up when you grab it. I assign the right hand grip and the left hand grip in the item control, and now when I pick it up, my IK figures out where the hands are meant to go. So now I've got this gun that kind of moves around with me. Because it's IK, it's visible in the world, so if you're using like a multiplayer thing, how you see your hands in the first person view is how everyone else will see you holding the gun in the second person view as well. I'll just quickly adjust the root position because it's sitting a bit high on the shoulder here at the moment, and it might make it look a little bit better with the gun. The root position no longer works, so let's just ignore that for the moment. Let's have a look at the fun stuff, like how to make it shoot stuff. So on this other gun, you can see I've got this little green arrow. I call this a reference pointer, so I will drag the reference pointer again onto the rifle, just like I do with the hands, and I'm going to put it where the bullet should come out, which is right here. So in the gun, I'm going to make a bullets consumable, max amount of bullets, let's say 60 for a big mag, current amount 60. That the current amount is how many you currently have loaded into the mag. We're going to create a spawnable object, which is kind of what the bullet will look like. So this could be any game object that already has pre-applied stuff, but the rest of everything else will be done through the script. So I'm just going to create like a sphere, I suppose. There you go. Now we've got a glowing blue ball. Let's chuck it in as a prefab. We'll chuck the sphere in as the bullet, make it apply a rigid body. We're going to make it use gravity. We're going to apply force in the Z direction, which Z is forward. Just going to make the object mass 1. And then we can set up some sounds here. I don't know if I've got any in here, so let's just leave it for the moment. And then action on impact destroy, again, applied dynamically, created, it will apply this effector to it, and then when it hits something, it will die. So the object spawn sound is what it makes when it's fired, so like a gunshot noise. Object sound is the object itself, so if it's a bullet, it'll make like a whizzing as it flies through the air. Impact spawn is you can make it so that when it hits the ground somewhere, where it does the impact, it will spawn another item. So it could be a rocket that spawns an explosion, and the impact sound is obviously the sound that it makes when it hits something. So if it makes an explosion noise, or if it makes like a bullet, hitting wood noise kind of thing. So I'm going to set up the right click actions first. This one's pretty easy. It's just I'm going to set up a move action. So we're going to make it look like we're aiming down the barrel. From the root point to I line, it's relative. So if we set this to Y1, for instance, then that would make it so that if I pick up the gun and right click, I'll hold it up. This will look ridiculous because Y1 is way above my character, but now when I right click, the gun flies all the way up to the top. One space in the air. Let's change it to 0.1Y, and we want to move it negative on the X direction, so negative 0.2, just as an example. So now you can see it's in my face, which is exactly where we want it to be. That's actually fucking perfect. Except for the clip, never mind the clipping on the camera, but that's exactly where I want it to be. And I'm also going to add a zoom action here. So when the right button is clicked, a zoom will occur. I'll just copy it off the pistol, off the revolver, sorry. 2.9 zoom, I think it was a pretty good one that I hit on the... Have this, if I right click, why is zoom not working? Never mind, I just think I'm dumb and I didn't set the zoom high enough. It should be way higher. I think I made some modifications to make it more granular. But now if I set the zoom up to 21.15, you can see there's a very obvious zoom in to the gun. Let's go even higher. Let's set it up to 80. Whoa! I think it must be exponential. Just play around with the numbers until you find something that fits. Like, there you go. So you've got this option called Set Accuracy, which is a modifier that's applied to the items that are created. The default accuracy is, the default spread is what it will be if you are not, for instance, or using an action that has the set accuracy modifier in it. So let's just say the default spread is 12. I don't actually know how wide that is. And then spread here is the like kind of calculated at runtime, so by default it should stick to 12 until we do something like the set accuracy action, where if I was aiming down the sights, for instance, let's set the accuracy to 2. So 12 by default, 2 when right click is clicked. So first we say we add a consumable cost. Obviously firing it, we want it to consume a bullet. So consumes bullet, as we've named it in the consumables. Oh, actually we've called it bullets, let's just call it bullet. Consumable cost is 1. We can have it consume more than 1 at a time per fire. And then empty sound would be if you run out of bullets in the mag, it would just play a clicking noise or whatever you want it to play instead. Next we're going to create a spawnable object. What is the spawnable object's name? It is also bullet, not just to keep it confusing. Create at transform, so we want to drag in the reference pointer. This is where the barrel is. Amount spawn is 1. We want to spawn a single object there. This is really useful for if you want to do like a shotgun. You could do amount spawn 12, for instance, and it'll create 12 bullets, and then they'll all be individually affected by the spread that you have set. Parent to spawner would be if you wanted to, instead of just putting bullets in here, you could have a spawnable object that is like an effect. It could be like muzzle flash, or it could be like a charging effect. Parenting it to spawner just means that it will parent it to the gun. And then when you like click and hold and there's like a glowing effect, it will just always stay on the end of the gun instead of just floating around in midair or wherever it's initially created in world space. It will stay local to the gun. And then we want to set the lifespan of the bullet to, let's just say 10 seconds. Sorry, just jumping back. Affected by accuracy means that this will be affected by accuracy. Obviously, if we parented it to the spawn, if we parented something to the spawner and didn't have it and let it get affected by accuracy, then an effect might be off center or not where it's exactly meant to spawn. So affected by accuracy means that we want that to apply to these bullets. Next, we probably want to do something like we want it to actually probably all three of these: positional, angular, and camera recoil. So I'll start with camera. Camera is, so this is kind of like a range. It's between X and Y. So this is a little bit confusing. You could have it recoil one direction if you wanted to. You can use only the X values. Which that will kind of keep it equal on both sides. But the reason that I have kind of split these up is that if you're doing camera recoil that is meant to like move your camera upwards, if it's a gun and you're taking recoil, you don't want the camera to recoil downwards. So the important thing here, actually, camera recoil, we won't only use X values, but we want to adjust pitch and yaw. So looking left and right and up and down. I never remember which one's which, so I might have to Google this real quick. I think it'd be dumber for me to pretend that I knew what they are, and I am going to Google them. Oh fuck, yaw is left and right. Is this going to make me look up and down now? So now you can see as I fire, it kind of goes up and down. Bullets are going a little bit wacky. We'll figure that out in a second. You know what I think that is? It's the spread. Okay, so it turns out it was the spread. My bad. Let's set the apply force to be quite a bit higher. Let's say it goes at 200, and now it shoots off very, very quickly, probably way faster than I wanted it to shoot off. Let's set that to 50 and see how fast it goes. Okay, so that is camera recoil and a fixed spread and speed. So let's look at the other ones now. We've got angular recoil. Angular is how much the gun kind of twists. It will, actually no, it's not visual, because it will, if your gun is pitched up and you fire another shot, it's going to be less accurate than the last shot. But you can see now the gun is kind of jiggling a bit more, so the camera is still moving, but the gun itself is moving up and down. And then last but not least is positional recoil. This is again just kind of like the angular recoil. It's a little bit visual, but it will kind of change how the gun feels or looks or plays. And just to kind of give you an insane look at what this does, let's set the Y recoil to -1, between -1 and 1, and now when I fire it, my gun should jump all over the place because it's moving either up or down one space. It's kind of harder to control. It's hard to control. I've set a pretty high recoil on it. I could probably lower the recoil. And then last but not least, to make it a machine gun, we need this action to repeat. So if I add a little item in here called action repeats, you can set a delay before repeat. So at this point, if I was to click and hold, it would probably crash my computer. Okay, it didn't crash my computer, but things happen very, very quickly. The main thing you want in a machine gun is that it fires again. So let's action repeats. But now that I've set action repeats, there's a delay before repeat is 1 second. If I click and hold, every 1 second, it fires another shot. Still doesn't look much like a machine gun. Could be better. Okay, so we've got a machine gun that is firing, randomly, randomly kicking back a little bit harder to aim than it normally would be. So the spread, at the moment it's 4. If I aim down the sight, you can see it changed into 2. Accuracy on this to 0. Let's give this gun perfect accuracy. It's now dead straight every single shot it takes, despite the recoil that I'm putting into it. You can set a cooldown. If it's like a charged weapon, you might want to wait 5 seconds. A cooldown is just 5 seconds before you're allowed to fire again. Difference between that and wait is that wait is meant to be inline, whereas cooldown is kind of affects the entire gun, so you kind of want the cooldown to happen last. Charge timer, it counts up a certain amount of seconds before something can fire, and the action repeating won't happen until the charge timer is complete and all the rest of the actions underneath it have occurred. Play sound is just you can make it play a sound at any point that you want. You could have it maybe playing like a charging noise. Just for instance, if I drop this down, you've got a sound. You can put, you can name it. You can put the sound in there, and then you can put make it loop if you want to. And yeah, that's kind of the basics of the completely modular gun system. I do need to add, for instance, when you're aiming down the sights here, it looks like my dude is eating the gun. I need to add a little, like you can do like camera offset, so maybe you lift the gun up a little bit to a place that doesn't look like you're eating it, but the camera from your head itself will move to look down the sights. So again, people won't be able to see that your camera is moving, but you will be able to see what aiming down the sights looks like without having to completely mess with the character model. One more thing that I didn't really look at before is the action on impact. It's currently set to destroy. You can have it stick or persist. So persist would be if it's a physical item. They'll keep on existing. These ones here, they persist because they kind of roll away. The rigid body is allowing them, is not despawning them, but they kind of just stay in the world, so they will roll off until their lifetime is ended. Okay, so spawn object isn't working right. I have set it obviously to world 0. No, it's not even world 0. It's just spawning. It's spawning revolvers where the original revolver was, and not where the bullet is hitting. I need to fix that. And then the last one is stick. If I was to fire now and it hits the ground, it will stick to exactly where it hits until the lifespan is up. So now you get all these cool glowing balls. You can, I don't know, you have a gun, that a bow and arrow that fires an arrow that sticks into the wall. The lifespan is infinite, and then after you're done with it, it'll be interactable in a way that you can go up and pick it up. Or you could have, just kind of another example or another idea that occurred to me is you could have a gun that shoots platforms. So when this ball hits the ground, it will spawn a platform object and not a billion fucking pistols. Anyway, that's my fun little tech demo. Bye.